So we're here. Let's make sure we're on the right account. Because it wasn't the other time. So if you are coming to this after the fact and wondering what happened last time, do this. That's what it was. And all right, I'm even live on the right place. I love it. This is so good. Nobody just yet, and that's all right too. We're going to be doing the same deal that we did last time where we record it. And we will post it on the YouTubes as well. Well, y'all, no one's here yet, and that's fine. But I do want to say this is the last night of the Kickstarter campaign, and I know I've said it a ton, but I can never say it enough that I am so tremendously grateful for all of the support that you all have provided throughout this process, and it means just so much to me. Thank you. Actually, lighting maybe a little bit easier here now. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get rolling with the reading, and we'll just do this thing. So this is Introduction Events, Chapter 2, Peyton. My foot bounced under the desk. At the end of the day could not come soon enough. The homecoming game was only 4 weeks away, and the team still was a long way from taking on Pennington High. There was no way we were going to lose our rivalry game for homecoming, but it might happen if our defense couldn't pull their heads out of their collective asses. If that weren't enough, my dad was harping at me to mail my college essays out for early acceptance. The quality of the essays was irrelevant. Even if my school, even if any school didn't make me apply, let me take this again. The quality essays was irrelevant. Even if any school he made make me apply to didn't let me in, he'd just make a sizable donation to build a new wing on some building, and voila, I'd be enrolled. Dad pretended I had to work for everything, but there was always cash or a political favor to catch me when I needed help. He made a big show of supporting public education in his last campaign by saying that he didn't need to send his son to some private school to get a first-rate education, but it was all a front, really. Everyone in Serra Mesa knew he paid more than any private school tuition into my schools to ensure that we never had the budgetary problems that other schools faced. Even Pennington, just across town, was night and day compared to us. They worked with janky hand-me-down equipment, computers from my school, while each student from my class used their own tablets. My football team got new equipment all the time, while scraps of foam flaked off their old pads. Yet, my dad harped to me about the damn college essay. He wanted to read through them, and I would have to make whatever changes he pretended to suggest. I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but those were the only options he'd let me consider. I didn't even want to take the AP Environmental Science class I was currently stress dreaming about. This class was the only one that fit my already busy schedule with the other AP classes. And don't forget your presentations on primary succession are due at the beginning of next week. That gives you a little less than a week to get them back to me. As I've been saying, but I'm willing to repeat for the glazed eyes around the class, you can do this solo or as a group project. In fact, I don't care really how you represent it. A mobile, a diorama, or a tattoo for all I care. Just make sure that you fully represent the aspects of primary succession here. In class next Monday. Mr. Spencer looked around at a series of blank faces. Looks like this is going to be interesting. I didn't even start the damn project yet, and I had no idea what primary succession was. My only hope was to find a partner who'd do most of the work and let me slide in at the last minute. With a smile, my gaze stopped on Lee Lighton. She looked like a hot mess. Ugh. Her ultra goth phase after everything with Chase wasn't doing her any favors. However, I had been long enough that she might be willing to do me a solid to get back in our good graces. I mean, she'd done her time in the penalty box, so we might bring her back into the fold if she was a team player. Again, the old water on the seam break thing. I'm back now. I packed up before the bell rang to catch Lee on her way out. She must have pre-packed too, because she zoomed right out of the door. The halls filled up with people, making it difficult to approach her. Fine by me. I didn't love the idea of half the school seeing us interacting just yet. After she helped us out, I'd throw her a bone and be seen with her in public. That, on its own, should be a good enough reason for her to help me. I trailed Lee to her locker and pretended to drink from a nearby water fountain until the hall cleared out enough for me to approach her. I'm not going to do your project for you, Peyton, she stated coolly as I walked up behind her. She didn't even raise her head to speak through that nasty dyed black and red hair. How'd you know I wanted us to work together on the... First off, you didn't want us to work together. You want me to do the project, so you can swoop in and pretend like it was all your idea. Hey, that's not fair. Second, she barreled through my objections and still wouldn't face me. That was starting to piss me off. Someone like her had a lot of nerve to mouth off to me. You've been staring at me with that wolf grin since class ended, so it obviously had something to do with the project. Oh, I see how it is now. I graced her with a smile that won over so many of the ladies. You were checking me out and noticed my intention, eh? She finally faced me. Die in a fire, Peyton. Her hair draped over one eye. The other had some sort of creepy purple contact lens. I flinched at the first glance of her eyes. She really was going full tilt weirdo. Maybe she hadn't been in the penalty box long enough after all. Excuse me? I asked after regaining my composure. You heard me. She probably thought my flinch was because of her comment. Ah, come on, Lee, I shrugged. It'll be like old times. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Like old times. Her tone chilled even further. Like when I did all of Chase's work for him? You know, before it all started spreading, all the... Don't be like that. You know you liked it back then. I smirked to remind her we were just having fun. But if you want something for your trouble, how about I take you to homecoming? It'd be great for you. Probably even be willing to talk to Chase and see if we could let you hang out with us. You'd like that? She interrupted my offer by slamming her locker door so hard I thought she might break it. Cancer. Fire. Her words dripped with icy venom. What? I asked, confused. The fire I told you to die in earlier? Yeah, I want it to be made of cancer, you prick. Where'd all of this come from? I remained stunned. I mean, if you're going to be some frigid bitch about trying to help you out, fine. Don't do the project with me. Help me? She spat each word individually and glared at me with her unsettling purple eye. You're unbelievable. She hoisted her backpack onto one shoulder as though ready to wield it like a club. When I didn't give her any reason to do so, Lee stalked off, muttering to herself. Ugh, I rolled my eyes. She obviously still needed some time in that penalty box because we could let her, before we could let her back in with the important people of the school. It's kind of shame. She probably would do a good job on the project. Didn't matter. I was positive I'd find some way to help out. I always did. Scene break, water break. Viewers in here, you can say hey in the chat if you're logged in. But anyway, about it, I am glad that you're here. Thank you. I don't know when you arrived, but always glad to see you. Next scene. This chapter's got a little bit longer than the other one. Oh, that last hit really, really hurt. I was flat on my back, taking in the pleasant view of the wide open Texas sky as my breath slowly returned. Meadows, what do you think you're doing in the dirt? Coach Phillips barked at me. Get back up! Get your head out of the clouds and back in line! We're gonna run it again! I rolled to my side and pushed myself up. Maybe he was right and I had my head in the clouds. I think I could... all I could think was of all the crap I had going on. I couldn't manage to focus on the plays. I was pissed at my parents for riding my ass about college and Lee for thinking she could actually cop an attitude with me. My brain kept cycling those things over and over again. Earth to Peyton! Peyton Meadows, you there? Coach Phillips rapped on my helmet. You gonna get in there or not? Should I be starting someone else on my running back? There are a few sophomores who'd love a chance to get in your spot. How's that sound? No, sir, Coach, I barked back and jumped in line. Good man! If his voice were a text, everything would be all caps. Now get in line and run it again. You've earned yourself another 5 wind sprints with that little prissy pants hit that knocked you flat. Keep going like that and you'll earn 10 more. I closed my eyes. That brought my total of extra practice wind sprints to 25. My sides were going to burn like hell by the time I hit the showers. Coach Phillips was a real hard ass. Even though I liked that about him, he could go a little far with the damn sprints. I hated every minute of them. And even if I deserved some of them, there was no way in hell I deserved 25. I slid in next to my friend Chase Pierce, the team captain and starting quarterback. Butted helmets. You got this, buddy? You know it. Let's do this thing. He slammed me in the shoulder and called the play. I saw a defender tracking me and shifted to find a hole in the defense. Chase saw the defender move and called an audible. He snapped the ball, and I rolled across the back of the offensive lineman just as Chase slid the ball into my cupped hands. I spotted the right hole and charged. 2 defensive linemen who had no right being that massive in high school converged on me. They moved too fast for me to have any hope of gaining much yardage, but it was worth a try. I ducked my helmet and charged toward the tiny opening in front of me. The hit from the 2 bruisers was going to leave marks, but I braced for impact and pressed on. Seconds later, there was no hit, and I just kept running. After a couple of seconds, I raised my helmet and noticed that I was far past the line. Every defender was in my dust. I was almost to the end zone. Coach Phillips' shrill whistle ended the play. I slowed to a walk and returned to the team. What the hell happened there, headers? I saw a hole and I went for it, sir? My shoulder pads exaggerated the shrug in a comical degree. Apparently you did, Coach Phillips stated over the team's laughter. Bit of a fluke if you can only do it once, though. Yes, sir. I'll get it done again. That's right, you will. Coach nodded. If you don't, you've got yourself more wind sprints. As it is, I'll deduct 4. Additionally, if I'll give 2 each to Salmons and Masterson for the easy tackle that they bungled, and you managed to slip through. The 2 defenders groaned and swore. That's 2 more each for complaining and 2 more for swearing. But, Coach, Chuck Masterson whined, you can swear, and besides, we had 2 more for Masterson for more belly aching. And you're damn right I can swear I've earned the right. You're still working on being able to speak at all. 2 more wind sprints for talking back to me. Want to make it more, or just keep playing some football? No, sir. Chuck hung his head in mock shame, but I could see see the furious snarl in his face. He was sure to take his frustrations out on me for the rest of practice. Coach Phillips would let it happen. He considered it a teachable moment. Run it back! Coach Phillips barked again. The offensive and defensive lines formed again. We ran the play a dozen more times, and none of them were as good as my miraculous attempt. I made it through often enough to keep Coach Phillips from giving me more wind sprints, but couldn't quite manage to escape the defenders quite so effectively. I chalked it up to good luck on that as the final whistle blew. Those of us who'd earned wind sprints got to them, while the lucky few who had escaped them headed for the showers. Viewers have multiplied. Welcome in. Fun new people. I'm so glad to have you here. We've still got another, I think, 2 scenes left in this one. So it's, like I said, it's a bit longer. How long has this been going on? Okay. Even with their added wind sprints, Judd Salmons and Chuck Masterson made it back to the locker room before me. I was faster than either of them, but still had way more of the hated exercises. I stumbled into the locker room exhausted and desperate for a shower. Judd and Chuck whooped and hollered at me for taking my sweet ass time, but they high-fived at beating the star running back. Congenially, I flipped them off. The rest of my teammates who hadn't already gone home huddled around the locker room TV. Often used to critique plays after games, it was set to the local news. One of the anchors was talking about something that happened over at our rival school. The victim, 18-year-old Eric Pauls, is a defensive end at the F.W. Pennington High School football team and was expecting to start this season. With burns along his arms from his incident, it is unlikely that he will even participate in the season. We spoke with one of the team's coaches, Joseph Leffler, who offered the following statement. We have no idea where the burns came from. 1 minute, we were running field goal plays, and the next minute, he was screaming, and his arms were covered in 1st and 2nd degree burns. I wasn't even terribly hot outside. How? So he couldn't have managed to burn himself on the equipment. We're at a loss as to how this happened, but our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family as he recovers from this terrible incident. The newscaster continued without emotion. The only other person involved in the incident, a Pennington High School student, who remains anonymous at this time, left the event no worse for wear. There were no further comments regarding either student or the incident. More on these events as they unfold. I shook my head, grabbed a towel, grabbed an old faded towel, flip-flops, and shower gel from my gym locker. That's some roughness, I muttered. No shit, man, Chase answered. Eric's a good dude. Partied with him a couple times over the summer. He was hoping to play for the Scouts this season. Bummer, dude, I grimaced. Getting into or paying for college wasn't a huge deal for me, but for a lot of students at Pennington, it was a pretty major concern. Even for Chase, it was a kind of a thing. His dad owned both car dealerships in town, but straight up said he'd make his son earn his way through college. Chase wasn't worried, though. He had a good line and some scouts for college ball. I shook my head and thought about Eric. Wonder if he'll still have a chance to play for some of them. Doubt it, bro. Doubt it. Bro was on TV saying he would be out the whole season. Upside is he'll probably come out of some pretty gnarly scars. You should really be able to pull some play with those. Chicks love dudes with scars. You know what I'm saying? Chase held out a fist and I bumped it. Yeah, man, he'll be set for sure. I wonder who the other kid was. Like, what the hell even happened over there? For real, Chase replied in a non-committal head bond. Bob, I gotta hit the showers. Catch you online sometime for some games? You know it, bro. Chase held out a fist again, and we bumped again before I strolled into the empty school showers. I pulled back the cheap plastic curtain and stepped through into an eerie scene that broke my mind wide open. All right, we have even more new people. Sorry, I'm not acknowledging folk as they arrive. Um, anyway, still glad to have you here. Got another couple. Why, thank you. I'm glad you dig the office. I have a lot of fun with setting this thing up. All right, last scene. Scalding sand filtered between the flip flops of my toes. And my toes. Instinctively, I jumped and kicked out one flip flop, flew out into the barren wasteland of burning yellow sand. The shoe wobbled in the shimmering heat haze in the air, and I lost track of where it landed. A piece of mostly clear plastic bounced off my leg and wafted away with the breeze. I clutched my towel around my waist with a death grip. Staying clothed was a primal necessity in my panic and confusion. I took in my surroundings and saw endless desert in almost every direction. Behind me, I saw the same generic plastic shower curtain I had just pulled aside. It wavered through the air, and I couldn't tell if that was due to the heat or something else. With a tentative hand, I reached toward the shower curtain, but was interrupted by a sound that caused the hair on the back of my neck to rise. I turned, and my heart leapt into my throat at the sight. The long brown snake reared back in an S-shape hissing. I stumbled onto my back as the snake weaved side to side. It taunted and horrified me. Two very large fangs protruded from its mouth as it hissed. I lost any sense of propriety in my haste to escape. My towel fell away as I awkwardly crab walked away from the snake. I didn't even notice when the burning sand was replaced with the cold tile of the locker room. When my head slammed against the wall of the opposing stall, I stopped scrambling. In my haste to escape, I must have pulled the original shower curtain closed again. There was also a diagonal line, like something sliced through it with an absurdly sharp knife, where the shower curtain just stopped. I looked around to see if anyone else saw what had happened, but the shower remained completely empty. Calming my racing heart, I pulled the curtain back to see the empty stall. There was no desert, no snake, and no burning sand, which made no sense at all. Where'd the shower curtain gone? Why was that the plastic that was caught in the wind? That didn't make any kind of sense. I had to be losing my mind with everything from the college stuff to that stupid project to Lee being a huge bitch and the bizarre football practice. My mind was going through a lot. I convinced I was convinced I had just made the whole thing up. But what happened to the towel, the shower curtain, and one of my flip flops? So that is chapter 2 of Introduction Events, the book that is currently still on Kickstarter for one more night. Campaign ends around 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, Central Time. If you haven't had a chance to back it, you still do for a little bit of time. We got a few people still in the chat, so if you have any questions, fire away. Otherwise, I'll let you get back to your night. Great question, Brett. My leg is, it's coming along. It is. So I ended up being I tore some ligaments, which is, not ideal. Bruised some bones down there. Apparently, it's not fractured, which was surprising to literally everyone involved when we got the MRI back. But it's, making progress, healing. Trying to. I'm actually walking a little bit around the house, which is nice. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Oh, we got a heart. Hello. I think I know who you are, Jen. But well, I'm glad that you all came to join. Like I said, I will post this also on the YouTubes if you missed the beginning or anything. Or if you want to watch me kind of fumble over a few lines over and over again and clip that, that's cool too. But I'm having a blast with these. And so I'm considering continuing on with them. We haven't gotten a lot of people to come join just yet, but between this and uploading the YouTube afterward, it might be enough to warrant continuing on. Anywho, thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you all for coming to support the campaign. The last time I looked, we were at exactly $2,222. So I made the joke to my wife of like, how do I support your campaign? And then the Mitch Hedberg voice replying, just contribute too for a while. So there's my bad joke for the night. Thank you again so much. And I will see you. Oh, I'm no longer at 2222. Cool. Thanks, Brett. I'll go find out what that is later. Thanks again, all. I'm so grateful for you, and I love you all.